so if you got tight elbows, some elbow tendonitis, tennis elbow, golfer's elbow, or some wrist stuff, then this series will may be helpful for you. One of the biggest tools or reasons that it happens is because of a lot of elbow flexion. So a lot of curling, a lot of push-ups, a lot of this going on, or this going on, and it's just putting a lot of strain on the elbow joint. Now, one quick tip is actually making sure that we're stabilizing through our shoulder girdle and not putting us into a bad position that's putting too much strain on the bicep or tricep. So if I'm at a push-up, I want to make sure that my shoulders pull back and that I'm stretching through my pecs, absorbing a lot of the strain in through my kind of diamond back, my lats, my triceps, as opposed to just putting all of my body weight onto my arms. Same deal with the bicep curl. Instead of here with my shoulders forward and finding that curl, I want to lock it back into place, feel like it's being held on by, bigger supporting muscles like my lats, and then finding it there. But if the damage is already done and you already got tight elbows and wrists, then here's kind of some things we can do. I'm actually going to start at the wrist and move on up. A lot of times if you have pain in push-ups or any type of wrist extension, it's because we don't practice it that often. It's because we're on our cell phones or on our computers, and we're always in this kind of forward flexion. So we want to try to work extension without loading extension too much. So kind of progressively overloading that extension. So first I'm just going to find a little bit of wrist extension practice. You can do this in tabletop position on the ground, or you can do it on the wall. I'm going to show you both. So I'm going to come down onto a tabletop position, fingertips spread out really wide. Very important that you're not just like loosely in through the hands, but spreading the fingers, gripping every knuckle bed into the floor. And then I want you to work on coming back, again, spreading, a lot of energy, and then coming forward. Coming back. You can do this one arm at a time or both arms at the same time. It's up to you. Eventually, we're going to add the lift of the heel of the hand. So I'm going to go one arm at a time and then back. I come into more extension and then I lift either both at the same time or one at a time and then glide yourself back. So practicing this forward and back kind of rocking. Again, with a spread out finger. It doesn't really do much if you're just like kind of chilling and going back and forth and back and forth. Really give the fingers and the whole surface area of the hand a lot of energy and then go from there. Next, we're going to do the same thing but with our fingertips back behind us. So I'm going to come forward to ease off, and then as I pull back, I'm into more extension, and then I work on pulling the heel of the hand off. I ease off, and then ease back in. About 5 to 10 reps here. Notice then I'm here, I lift, and I'm also bending my elbows to lift and pull at the heel of the hand back. The next one is going to be with your fingertips towards you and your palm facing up. I like to do this on one arm at a time. And then I rotate and relax. So in addition to getting a stretch through the back of the forearm, I'm also working this like kind of pronation to supination. And your forearms are fascinating because it is the only set of bones in your body that crosses over one another. So here they are parallel, and then as I pronate, they cross over one another. So obviously these tissues get really tight and sometimes jammed and sometimes not able, especially if we're just doing this all day and we don't practice a lot of supinated things. So those kind of three here, and I rotate and around, rotate and around. Sometimes it's helpful to kind of grab this and lock it into place this way. If I'm doing this up against the wall, it's then going to add a little bit of shoulder and pec stretch. And you may even get this whole kind of ulnar nerve that travels from the base of your head all the way out to your pinky. So I will spread out, find extension. Now I'm doing one arm at a time, spreading everything, externally, internally rotating, flossing that humerus and full arm in here. And then I externally rotate, pull my chest away, and find the stretch. Again, it'll feel like a pec stretch, but this is still working the same system. I do the same thing, fingertips down, heel of the hand up as I press away. And then I do the same thing with my palm towards me and my fingertips down. Here I may grab on and then notice what happens with my elbow. It goes from bent to extended, but it's not just a simple hinge joint. It doesn't just go here to extension. There's this rotation that happens in through those forearm bones, and that's what we're looking to kind of floss out. So that sequence, you can also add a little bit of neck pulling over. That'll really light up the ulnar nerve. And then next we want to work at the soft tissue. So more than anything, the tissues just get tight. We got to get in there and see if we can, relieve some of the tightness of that tricep and tricep tendon into the elbow. So I'm going to grab onto a lacrosse ball. I'm going to come on down, and then first I'm just going to rock side to side. So I have tricep, that's 3. I'm going to click, 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 going across the grain of the muscle tissue as opposed to along the grain of the muscle tissue. I do it with my arms straight. I pronate, I supinate as I practice. Then I want to do it with bent. Then I want to play around with tack and floss. So I'm going to tack the tissue down in a spot that feels like, oh yeah, that's pretty spicy. And then I'm going to bend and extend here. So I want to do this on the tricep, and then I'm also going to do it on the forearm. So I'm going to now go a little bit below the elbow and maybe tack it down, holding in through here. Obviously, you can just roll around. There's not a rocket science to soft tissue adhesion work. But if you are, once you're done with kind of just surveying the area, then you're going to tack it down and floss that pronation to supination. So I'm going to get kind of right at this tissue here where it kind of clicks over, and then I'm going to practice opening it up, closing it down, opening it up, closing it down. I get a little bit more medial here, that just because normally when I get tight, that's when I have it. Some people get a little bit more on the outside, so obviously wherever you feel it. Then play around with wrist rolls. So I'm going to tack a tissue down, and then I'm just going to move my wrist around, back and forth, and back and forth, and kind of get all around. If I want to get the back of the tissue, you can get that as well. Kind of lean your body weight into it for a little bit more spice, and then find that. And then the last thing is drilling this range of motion. So I mentioned at the beginning, getting our shoulder into a proper position, and then the next thing is farmer carries. Really working on extending in through the elbows, pulling in through the shoulder blades, grabbing onto some weight, holding it on either side, and not defaulting. Sometimes we carry groceries and there's this little subtle bend in the elbow. We want to work on gaining strength in extension and having that really be pulled in through the shoulder girdle and the lats. So practice a set, maybe after your workout, that you're going to do 4 rounds of a 50-meter farmer carry walk, shoulder blades pulling down, chin tucked, elbows extended, and see how all of those pieces, both positioning correctly, stretching, working in the soft tissue, as well as then strengthening that position. See how well that works out for you. Let me know if how that goes. If you have any other questions about it, I'll talk to you soon.